Well, hello everyone. This is Raquel, and I want to welcome you. We are sitting in the full moon energy. Tomorrow happens to be the first of two supermoons that are happening in 2020. And we're feeling that energy already. A supermoon just means that it's a little bit more punch, if you will, to the energy. And full moons are always time to reap. And we are definitely reaping the benefits of the first portal that happened on 3/3 this month. And the energies of the Aquarian age that are starting to be felt, especially by the light workers, if you will. This energy moving us into the two frequency of unity is really starting to take hold. And yes, it's going to be years as this Aquarian age really takes hold. Nothing is quick when you talk about cosmic cycles, but we're already feeling the energy. The 5 222 portals that happened last month really opened up our cellular memory and our ability to start experiencing life from this new energetic, this new frequency. And as this frequency continues to bombard Gaia and all the fields, it's affecting our DNA, it's affecting us at a cellular level, and it is continuing to bring us into a much deeper understanding of what unity truly is. And I've said this before many times, but I want to reiterate my humble opinion of what unity consciousness really is all about. So many who are talking about unity are talking about being one with everything. And yes, I agree with that, but my slant on that is slightly different. When we talk about being in unity consciousness and people are talking about being in unity with everything and everyone on the planet, that becomes incredibly difficult because we're dealing with human personalities and egos. We're dealing with how do you wrap your mind around the consciousness that we're supposed to be in unity with those in the Middle East who are playing out experiences that we consider quite horrific. How do we come into unity consciousness with those in the government who are acting out roles that go against what we believe is appropriate or fair or aligned? And so when you step into a unity consciousness from that level, it becomes incredibly difficult to merge with. It becomes hard because we know that those experiences are not one that brings joy, one that brings harmony, one that brings sovereignty to each of us. And so instead, I like to preface and state the idea of unity consciousness in a very different way. And that is unity consciousness with Source. The unity frequency of 2 is bringing you back into unity with Source energy. And when you come into that concept from that level of consciousness, and you realize down here on this playing field we call Earth, that everything is Source energy. We know this, yet it's playing out in some pretty interesting scenarios. It's much easier to connect in with the consciousness level of unifying with Source, going back to Source, becoming one with Source, rather than the unity consciousness many are talking about that is trying to unify with all 7 billion personalities on this planet. So, with that awareness, with that different idea of what unity consciousness, your ability to step into that level of awareness really begins to expand. And that's where I hope you can start feeling the experiential and the frequency of this unity consciousness. We are moving into an expression of source incarnate rather than a conceptual. And yes, the conceptual has to come first, but it is really this next phase of evolution is about the experience of being source, the experience of the release of ego, the release of polarities, the release of duality, which we've all been working towards and will continue. Many are talking about how we are beyond the clearing and beyond working on ourselves and beyond all of this experience of clearing and upgrading and improving on ourselves. And once again, I humbly have a different opinion because all you have to do is look around. Now, that doesn't mean that we aren't light years ahead of the game of most of humanity. And I absolutely agree with that. But as we step into this experience, moving into one where we are in neutrality, where the ego can come up and we can simply be the observer, that mastery level, that's still happening. But the beautiful thing is we're in a space of mastery. We can sit in that observance to really understand that that ego is still coming from separation, coming from polarization, duality. And so we are still very, very much on the path, but we are stepping into a mastery level of awareness and experience. So it's not to say that this won't how can I say this? That the ego won't continue to do everything it can to hold its status quo, and that we won't have experiences of feeling separate or those old programs coming up. But the difference is that we can stand in our mastery and be observant, that we can make the conscious choice to move into source energy and creation energy and quickly shift it. And so that is where the current consciousness is. And as we continue to master, as the ego still gets absolutely triggered, it's more of being in observance and the way we are shifting so much more naturally. Instead of the struggle. It's the awareness, it's the observance, it's the choice to choose to create a different experience and the speed in which we're able to do that. And that is the exciting part of this new frequency because it is accelerating our ability to live from that level of mastery. And so I just don't want you to be in the illusion that if you are having any kind of ego come up or any kind of separation that, oh my gosh, you're not where everyone else is and you're behind in your awakening. That's not true at all. It is your capacity to be the observer of that and quickly choose from a state of higher consciousness. That is the energy of the mastery. And so hopefully as you're sitting in this awareness and you contemplate what I've just spoken of and the idea of unity consciousness and what being in mastery really is all about, because it's not about being absolutely in control and living in this bliss state 24/7, we definitely are not there. And I find very few who can actually stay in that level 24/7. But we are so much more connected to that state of being. And that's what is to be celebrated. That's what this new frequency of unity is bringing as support for our mastery of really moving out of separation, out of duality, out of that level of consciousness into unity with Source. And so I invite you to play in that conscious level, in that awareness, and in that light.